We've been hearing a lot of this in the news, mostly on the right side, and about Project 2025. Unitary Executive Theory. We need to talk about this. Greetings and felicitations again, my fellow Perceptor Purple people. I wanted to take a few moments to talk with you about Unitarian Executive Theory and what that means and how we should interpret it. You may be forgiven if you have only recently heard about this Unitary Executive Theory that underpins the Project 2025 agenda. It really only got started in any discussions since around the 20-aughts, if I recall correctly, in spite of claims of some unending debate on the subject since our founding days. Unitary Executive Theory, in its most basic form, centers around just how much power the president should have over all the tiny facets of the executive branch. Just like a chief executive officer of a company, he or she should be able to change policies, hire and fire personnel right down to the lowest level employee, and completely reform the entire branch as he or she sees fit. You know what? I went down a lot of rabbit holes on this subject, researching, and wrote I don't know how many pages on this before I realized that it wasn't necessary to take up 10 to 20 minutes or more of discussing alleged historical arguments on the subject, court precedents, etc., ad nauseum. Why not do all that? Because instead, we're going to simply look at the basic logic of this idea when compared to the current events and circumstances and see if it holds up. Spoiler alert, it doesn't. Okay. Here are 3 observations to consider. First, people and businesses need accurate data to be able to make accurate decisions for planning out their lives and projections with confidence. Bearing that in mind, I would direct your attention to what is going on right now with the economic numbers as prima facie evidence that having a unitary executive with that much control over all the departments established by Congress can cause results that aren't trustworthy. When the entire branch mission is directed not towards giving the citizens the true facts, but appeasing their political leader to keep their jobs, facts will tend to get skewed and become inaccurate, to be straight up about it. This makes it more difficult for everyone, rich or poor, to be able to make solid decisions based on those facts with confidence. We're seeing this now with surprisingly rosy economic figures being released from our executive branch departments one day, only for them to be downwardly revised a few months later. This inability to trust the data that's being given by a corrupted set of bureaus weakens our primary economic engine of capitalism, which requires solid data to be able to project for investments, logistics, etc. It also screws up everybody's individual economies as well, and for the same reasons. All of this leads to an unstable economy for all. Second, how about the egregiously inappropriate and disgusting twisting of the U.S. Department of Justice into Trump's illegitimate bastard Just Us department? And it's even sicker than Janet Reno's wacko DOJ under Clinton. We're watching a world-class DOJ being torn apart and lifetime prosecutors with years of experience being replaced by inappropriate people whose only qualifications are fealty to the current president. I still recall the joke of how easy it was for prosecutors to get indictments when they did their jobs correctly, when the phrase of being able to indict a ham sandwich became popular. Today, not so much. I have never seen so many no-bill returns in my life, folks. We're seeing more and more cases being thrown out for malicious prosecution than I have ever witnessed in my life. Let's simply face the clear fact that incompetent goons hired simply because of personal fealty is no way to ensure a just and safe country. Whether you're a bright red MAGA or bright blue progressive, do you really want your laws enforced based upon who's in political party and power at the time? Not to be that guy, but I must point out to my MAGA friends that supporting Unitary Executive Theory, while also decrying the Department of Justice being politically weaponized by Biden's administration, presents a logical conundrum that you might want to seriously reconsider. Third, of course, we then come to the Federal Reserve Board. I won't bore you with all the technical details on this, but a brief overview of our current system of currency is in order. There are many YouTubes on video that can present you with all the reasons why switching from a hardback currency, such as dollars being gold or silver certificates that can, theoretically, be turned in for that amount of whatever metal is backing that currency, to the fiat currency, that is, it has X value because we all agree that it does, that we use to get today. So feel free to check those out for deep dives on the details on the subject. They are fascinating. But today, we'll suffice with noting that fiat currency has advantages which include better policy control for fighting recessions and keeping a stable economy, and no requirements to have the physical resources of a hardback currency, allowing for better economic growth. There, of course, also come risks that have to be mitigated to keep everything stabilized, and the fiat currency's worth continued to be accepted by all. To make the system work, you absolutely must have a body responsible to ensure its continued stability. This is where the Federal Reserve Board comes in. It was specifically designed to be independent of the politics of the executive branch, or any other branch of government for that matter, to ensure that decisions were made solely based on the facts, without any significant executive intervention allowed. Now, there are many examples of this throughout world history, but I'll give you just one that's most relevant. In the early 1970s, Nixon was in a pinch. He wanted to get reelected and felt that he needed a booming economy to do so. Much like Trump today, Nixon put direct personal and political pressure on the Fed chair to keep interest rates lower than the clear signs of inflation would indicate. His pressure was successful, and although the short-term boom did indeed help Nixon win that election, it directly caused the great inflation of the 1970s thereafter. And only an insane interest rate of over 20% had enough impact to break that inflationary cycle. This began the end of the general working class to be able to afford the American dream, by the way. Oh, sure, there were other influences, but this was one of the triggers. These points, not to mention a lot more that I haven't gotten into today in order to save you time, clearly demonstrate the need for at least a few relatively semi-autonomous departments under the executive branch that are not under the direct thumb of the president. I say that it's long past time to put this clearly illogical idea of unitary executive theory to rest once and for all. Besides, I'm pretty sure that you would agree, whether Republican, Democrat, or anyone else, that the reach of the politics of the moment should never reach the individual citizen trying to access the government services that everybody's taxes pay for, lest they be denied for merely being from the wrong party at that particular time. So what are your thoughts about this? Do you find our position reasonable, or do you have more logical and or rational ideas on the subject? Do be prepared for vigorous yet polite debate, but let's hear it. As always, I'll see you in the comment section below. Till our next chat, remember to keep your balance and stay purple, people. We'll see you again real soon, and let's get America together again.